Unmissable presence, SUV, SUV-ness, performance, safety, fun, fast, electric, no shock. No shock in the range, no shock in the performance, no shock in the reliability. That's our goal. When it comes to unmissable presence, let me compare it with the C-segment cars. Rajesh said 1%. That's before the launch of this vehicle. But after the launch of vehicle, you see 1%, where does it go? You see these. You see these dimensions, no brainer. Widest car, among the best in the height, the length, and the wheelbase. The mathematics, you can crunch the numbers and you can find it out. But one thing is very clear, though we are comparing with the passenger car ICE vehicles. So let's compare with the EV vehicles, though they happen to be the imported vehicles. Sorry, I have some problem. Give me a second. Can you roll back?
Yeah.
So this happens to the ICE vehicles that you see, and then now this is the electric vehicles. What you see is, again in the electric vehicles, what is imported, that you see a fantastic proposition of the vehicle, unmissable presence when it comes to the overall width, overall height, and the wheelbase, and the overall length. So next slide, please. What you hear, you see again. Okay, give us 1 minute. I have to sort it out, please. Can you go back the ICE comparison, the EV comparison, and the TN comparison? Yeah. So this is one vehicle which is best selling in India. But what you see here is the length is 4,000 meters. The overall height is 1,616 meters, but millimeters. That you have here 1,634 millimeters, way above the best-selling competition locally made. You can see the overall width, and you can see whopping 100 millimeters in the wheelbase. That gives the best-in-class first row and second row the leg distance, leg room. When it comes to forward visibility and side visibility, the XUV400 possesses the highest seating position of 664 millimeters, the seating height, the hitch point, and therefore that gets you 24 degrees forward visibility angle, and then side visibility of 56 degrees, the best in the class that you can see. And I have taken the EV vehicles for comparison going forward, all the three vehicles, because you already seen with the ICE vehicles we are much better off. Side visibility, second row, again we are much better off. Seating height, we are much better off with 664 millimeters. So when you have the right wheelbase and the right seating position of 664 millimeters, you expect the cabin space and the cabin comfort to be the best in class. So what you see here is 1021 millimeters of headroom and a legroom of 1051 millimeters, best in class. Compared to the best selling EV in India, you have nearly close to 50 millimeters that you are better off in the legroom. That is the most important thing that you notice it from this slide. The boot space, what you see here, because of the 4.2 meters, you have 418 liters measured up to the roof, and compared to any other benchmark, you have the best in class boot space. So headroom, legroom, boot space, you are best in class. When it comes to ride and comfort, as you know, Mahindra does not leave any stones unturned. And I have already told about these two technologies in my Scorpio N presentation. So you have two technologies, frequency dependent damper, that means number of obstacles in the given ride distance, and the amplitude of the obstacle in the drive maneuver. So you have MTVCL valve technology that helps you to dampen as the height of the obstacles are going up. That helps you to absorb it. If you have multiple obstructions, the frequency dependent damping, that helps you. So both the technologies have been brought to this vehicle. When you mount the battery, it is so important that that inertia of the battery is not amplifying the vibrations that is coming from the obstacles on the road, and these two technologies were brought specially for, so therefore the XUV300 does not need it, but XUV400 needs it, and that's the main reason that we brought it. Next slide, please. When it comes to performance and range and the battery pack, we already heard from the speakers, 8.3 seconds for 0 to 100 kilometer. That's the best in class. Now, here is what you see, the 39.5 kilowatt hour battery that gets from the highest cell energy density of 237 watt hour per kg. The best in class energy density that you can. It has a dual vent valve pack design that helps. The pack design is nothing but in case there is some problem with the battery cells, in the cells you have electrolyte and they start oozing out as gases because the temperatures are higher and you need the ventilation of the battery very, very quickly. We don't have one, but we have two for safety purposes, and therefore it is a very safe design that we have packed it already. You have a chiller when you are 43, 47 degrees centigrade in order to cool the battery pack. You have a warmer or a heater when your temperature goes below minus 10 degrees and minus 20 degrees, you need to keep. Battery, you have to keep it its operating temperature of plus or minus 20 degrees. In this range, you cannot exceed in these limits to keep it safe, and that's why you have chiller and heater and dual vent valves. You have a 50 kilowatt charger, so that charges you in 0 to 80 in 50 minutes, best in class again. And you have a Ramanujam's number here. It's very easy to remember. What is the range of XUV400? It's 4, 5, 6. Just like the Ramanujam number of 1729, that's the taxi he used to go. G.H. Hardy used the taxi number to go and see Ramanujam when he was hospitalized. So you remember this number, 4, 5, 6. So that's the best range. Isn't it? This is the highest number ever you heard in the B segment and C segment?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And 8.3 is the lowest number that you heard from anybody. Yes. And that's, by the way, 8.5% better acceleration than any car that is in this segment. So that I will show you a little later. So this battery pack designed, conceived in collaboration with several partners, international partners. You saw it in the beginning of my slide, that's AVL. And it's done in none other than our Mahindra EV Tech in Bangalore. Their colleagues are here, and Pankaj Sonalkar is here. Give them the warm regards and compliments to them They did the indigenous, locally made battery pack. It's manufactured in chalk and plant.
Yes.
Go ahead, please. Next slide, please. The performance range and e-powertrain, believe me, you will see it tomorrow and you will feel it. It's a synchronous motor. What's more important is 310 Newton meter. I keep telling to many, many people, don't worry about the torque, but worry about where it is delivered, at what RPM it is delivered. In the IC engine, we talk about turbo lag and we say 1750, I get a torque. But here you get a torque at 25 RPM here. I mean, where are we talking? 5 RPM to 25 RPM, you are talking. Zoop, you ramp up to 310 Newton meter. You are not waiting for 1750 RPM. And that is more than sufficient for XUV400 to get it that the category that it, the position that it deserves, 8.3 seconds in 0 to 100 km per hour. The thrill of accelerating 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, you will feel it. Your adrenaline will pump up. You will feel the fun. You will feel the thrill, but no shocks. Next slide, please. Safety is the most important for us in Mahindra, and we take it very, very seriously. The safety has two components to it, the occupant safety and the battery safety. You will see very elaborate redesign of the BAW has been done in order to achieve the passenger safety and the battery safety. You can already see it, all that red, blue and green, they are all high-strength steel that you can easily add up to 45% of our steel that is used is simply high-strength steel, out of which 10% of the steel guard the battery pack. Can you see it? In case of any problem, the vehicle skids and touches somewhere the barrier, we do not want to damage the battery, and we give the highest strength steel available in the world, that is 1500 Newton per millimeter square, compared to what normally the mild steel that you see, it is only 320 Newton per millimeter squared. You cannot just compare it. You can kick, but your boot will be destroyed. So be careful. So that's the pack that we use. You know, the loads that are coming in the frontal crash, you have to take care of 280 kilojoules. You have to take care. You see, I have already introduced for the EV vehicles, you need the third support in the bottom that you see, third load path, which already comes typically available in the born electric vehicles, which you see already, and it protects the passenger, and nicely the load is transferred to the rear, and from the rear cage it goes down to the whole body. So frontal crash, the battery crash, battery protection has been very well redesigned with materials and the structure. Can you go to the next slide, please? So what you see here is again the side crash, which is very, very important when it comes to side crash. The previous slide what you saw is the frontal crash. This reinforced structure is so important, and it has about 25% of the frontal load, so you don't require to have a very high 1500 Newton per millimeter square steel, you don't have it. But you see in the bottom, it's completely reinforced around the battery, whether it is frontal, whether it is rear, whether it is side. What you see in the side, that side member is probably closer to the battery, and therefore you have a thick sill running and protecting the battery. So when you are sitting in XUV400, enjoy the thrill of 8.3 seconds and don't worry about battery hitting somewhere. Nothing will happen. The steels are there to protect. Armory is there around the battery. Next slide, please. Fun, fast, electric, live mode. So you have a single pedal drive. You can accelerate and automatically it brakes, and you can do the single pedal. You can keep driving and you can enjoy the fun. That's the purpose of this. Start, accelerate, decelerate, stop using the single pedal. Driving simple, convenient and more engaging. That's the technology that we have introduced. Next slide, please. HMI features, very intuitive. Monostable shifter, intuitive user controls, very easy to understand. There are 3 drive modes, fun, fast, and fearless, that you see the rotations in the anti-clockwise that you have noticed. This is not for logical people, this is for emotional, passion people. So it starts rotating in the anti-clockwise and clockwise. Next slide, please. Wow. So you have Blue Sense theme infotainment, then embedded EV statistics, the charging, how much is left, the kilometer distance that you available, and charging distance. So by the way, 245 that is put here, if you make it full, then you will get 4, 5, 6. You got it. So the complete EV statistics comes into the cluster, so you don't require to be worried at all what state of the battery charging is. Next slide, please. Connectivity is one of the biggest need of the EV vehicles. What you see here is the BlueSense connectivity that we have, navigation and charger, where it is located, all the informations that you can come. We have a telematic system embedded into this infotainment system, so you get all the data available. Next slide, please. With the telematics unit that is available, we provide 60 plus connected features, vehicle controls, charging, headlamp on off, door on off, AC, all these, and then you compete and achieve. You can see the leaderboard, you can see it, and you can come on the top of it when you do the drive. You can plan the trips, and using those 60 plus connected features, it's really fun. It's really made for fun. So let me say this XUV400 is a fun. It's an SUV. It's a fun, but very, very safe. And the safe from the point of view of driving and range. And all the best. Tomorrow you will drive it. And then drop me a message if you love the thrill of 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. All the best. Thank you.